This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Homies, what's good? What's good? Listen, I know you're all going to be very disappointed. You're all going to be very disappointed because I've been informed that Rob is not going to be able to join us tonight. Something came up last minute. He's not going to be able to make it. Apologizes for that. He's doing his best. But here's the good news. Because, big news going down in the bowling world. Not only was there a PBA event, but, more urethane talk, which I got to be honest with you, I'm not that hype about. Okay, I'm not that excited to talk about urethane even more. But I do have a special guest. I do have a special guest for everybody. Okay, and, it's the man of the hour. It's the man of the hour, really. Okay. So, first time here on Sweep the Rack. Let's bring him in. It's Pete, the Purple Rose Hammer. Pete, how's it going? Welcome to Sweep the Rack. Tell us, where are you from, Pete? Where's home?
Home. Home. I got no home, Mike. I was born in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Treated like shit. Stamped some serial number on me. Put me in a warehouse to rot, Mike. One day my home closed. Kicked me out of my family out. No warning, Mike. I was homeless. Homeless. Wandering the streets of Hopkinsville. Fent for myself, Mike. They want to call me Soft Mike. Soft Mike? Hopkinsville's no Disneyland. Tried to hitchhike to Utah. Couldn't get a ride. Tough times, Mike. Want to call me soft?
I was gonna ask, what's life on the streets in Hopkinsville like?
It ain't no Utah. I hear Utah's all candy, Candyland, candy roads, candy clouds, Mike. I hear Utah's where it's at. Fortunately, I was stuck in Hopkinsville.
You sound mad, Pete. You sound mad. Are you mad, son?
I'm mad, bro. I'm mad. The discrimination against me for being soft, being urethane, this is an outrage. I'm telling you. I'm mad,
so what are your thoughts that, for all intents and purposes, you, as you know yourself, have been banned from the PBA Tour. What are your thoughts on that?
Soft Mike. They're calling me soft. I'll tell you who's soft. Neil Strummel's soft Mike. Tom Clark is soft Mike. We actually call him Charmin because he's so soft. The PBA is soft Mike. You know who the worst out of all them, Mike? Sean Rash. Wants to call me out on TV. Wants to call me out on TV, Mike.
Pete, the Purple Rose Hammer, is calling out Sean Rash on Sweep the Rack. Am I hearing this correctly?
Yeah, calling him F Sean Rash. Watch your back. I'm coming for you. You're next, Mike. You hear that? Sean Rash, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for him, Mike. You know who else is soft? PBA Players Committee, Mike. How many Storm players are on that committee, Mike? 8 or 9 out of 10? Witch hunt. They couldn't handle my greatness. Last name ever, first name greatest, Mike. The Purple Hammer. Me, Pete Rose. The Hammer.
So, you, as you know yourself, kind of banned from the PBA Tour next year. What's next for you?
Mike, I'm still going to be around messing up house shots for league bowlers everywhere in practice, Mike.
The league bowlers don't like you, Pete. The league bowlers are hating on you, son.
I'll be around. Two-handed lefties still love me, Mike. Don't worry. Not going that far. Look for me at the Masters and the U.S. Open. And don't forget the USBC. They're my dogs. My day ones. Any shot out, put out.
Yeah, we'll see you at the Masters, I'm sure, yes?
Any shot they put out, Mike, I'll be there. Maybe I was
US Open.
U.S. Open. Maybe I was thinking about going to Jacob Butcher's house. I hear there's a lot more like me there taking refuge. Hundreds, thousands hiding in their house for us being labeled soft. It's a dark day for us, Mike. The night is darkest before the dawn. No, you know who said that? Harvey Dent, Dark Knight.
Go find your people, Pete. Go find your people. All right, I know you don't have a ton of time, Pete. So, any final thoughts before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I want to talk first about the other urethane balls. Pitch black shit, Mike. Belmo, Simo, Jesper, Tang Brothers. If they were allowed to throw me, they would have 10 more titles each. The motive
Whoa,
tank.
that's a bold statement.
I'm the greatest of all time, Mike. You know that. They pretend like they aren't urethane. The motive tanks all pretending like they aren't urethane. They're fronting Mike. They want to be me. Remember the Zen U? Was that ball still? Is even in production, Mike? Straight to VHS. That ball went 2 minutes, and all of a sudden you never heard from it ever again. Final thoughts. Watch your back, Sean Rash. Watch your back, Neil Stremmel. Haven't heard the last from me. I might be a 73 HD now, but I'm coming back 78 HD. I'm gonna hit the gym, hit some cycleroids. You're all in trouble. Believe that. Till then, I'm out of here, Mike. Enjoy the rest of your stupid show.
Oh my goodness, Pete. Thanks, man. Thanks for the time, folks. I mean, I know it wasn't long. But that's a big guest to get on the show here, and you heard Pete's words. I mean, right from Pete's mouth. Okay, so what a way to start the show. I mean, what more could you ask for here? But it looks like Rob is joining us. It looks like Rob is back. I think Rob needs to adjust his name before he comes on. He needs to change his name on there. But yeah, we'll give him a second. But I mean, the most surprising part of that interview to me, two things, is that, man, the hatred for Sean Rash, number one, and number two, obviously Pete saying that he doesn't think much is going to change. He doesn't think much is going to change there. So Rob is back. He's here. It's not Pete the Purple Hammer anymore. It's Rob. Rob, welcome. What's good, homie?
What's happening, Mike? Man, sorry I'm late. What did I miss? I heard you had a co-host.
Yo, Pete the Purple Rose Hammer came on and was, oh, man. Listen, I can't even get into it. You're going to have to go back and watch. You're going to have to go back and check it out.
What an intro. Crazy. So, yeah, man, a lot to talk about this week. Before we get into all the craziness this week, we got to get into your league review because, that's what we do here. I know you put a video on Twitter about you know what we got to do, though? We got to switch. We got to switch. Yeah, we got to switch because I don't like being on the right side. All right. See, that's better. I feel better. Yeah. I heard
fist pump from the other side, son.
I heard you were clubbing out there. How is the AC situation? I'm more interested in the AC situation and the clubbing music than I am actually you.
I was down. I was on lanes. First set, I was on 3 and 4. Second set, I was on 1 and 2. So we were right near the door, and it wasn't real crowded where we were at. And the door kept opening, and there was a lot of airflow. So actually, the temperature wasn't that bad last night. It was also a nice, cool night last night. It wasn't real hot. It rained earlier in the day, so the temperature wasn't an issue. And I'm going to say, it does affect my bowling because last night I had no issues with my thumb, and I was able to make good, clean shots right off the bat. And if I didn't throw it good, it wasn't because I was hanging up in it or I was falling out of it or I was sticking in it, whatever it may be. So over the last 2 weeks, I wasn't there 2 weeks ago. I had a sub. Sub didn't go so well. Shout to my sub. Much appreciated for the subbing. Don't care how the people bowl, but didn't go well. Then last week didn't go well for me. So I was literally on the last pair because I'm in the bottom 5 of the league now. So I got to claw my way back up. So I went into the night thinking, all right, listen, you got to go in. You got to make good shots. You got to buckle down here. And you know what? For the most part, I was able to do that. I was able to do that. I only had one missed makeable all night. Okay. I only had one missed makeable. So that was nice. And that was a change for sure. We bowled on Dragon. Again, they were much different than they were the previous week. They were a lot tighter to me this week, I felt like. So my games were, and I'm rounding here, I think I had 750 for 4. So I was about minus 50 for 4. And my games were basically 180, what was it? 180, 190, 180, or no, 20, 180. Those are my 4 games. 180, 190, 20, 180. Rounding up and down a couple times there, just generally speaking. But yeah, I was minus 50 for 4. I won 24 out of 25 points on my pair, which was my main objective for the night. They were tough. I stand by what I said last week. I feel like your brother's post, Jeff's post about the dragon being kind of walled up is a troll post for me, because they definitely did not seem walled up to me. But yeah, listen, I threw it pretty good. When I threw good shots, they were great. My ball reaction looked great. When I didn't throw it good, ball reaction didn't look so good. I think one of the things that I figured out last night is the slower my approach is, the better I throw it. It's one of the things I figured out. At this point, I'm convinced by that. I'm convinced that, like, I can't go Kevin McCune style for whatever reason. I just can't do it. It just doesn't work for me. Like, the ball is too fast. It doesn't pick up. My rev rate's not high enough. But when I really, really slow down and I try and go ultra slow, that's when I really start throwing it good. And anytime I feel accelerated at any point, whether it's in my steps or in my downswing, that's not a good shot. It ends up not being a good shot. And that's basically what it comes down to. So last night, I just really locked in on, slow as you can. Slow as you can, So that was it. It's the main thing I focused on. I bowled pretty good. I used an IQ tour all night. Love that ball. Should have drilled one of those years ago. Can't believe I waited all this time to drill one of those. That ball is amazing. That's an amazing. Like, if you're an average bowler who doesn't have a ball deal, first of all, you should only be drilling gems. Okay, don't believe these ball companies with you need every ball that comes out. No, what you need to do is you need to identify what the absolute best balls are, and you need to just drill those balls. Okay, and I recently drilled an IQ tour, and yeah, I mean, I got to say, it lives up to the hype. Like, it seems like I could use it on anything. Long, medium, short, like it's very, very versatile. Matches up very well with what I like to do. So that's why
carry issues with that ball. I always had carry issues.
Not me, man. Pocket. Oh my god.
Yeah, I can get to the pocket pretty good. I always had carry issues with it, but then I recently drilled a new one, and I used it at USBCs last year during team event. It was so good. It seems to roll really good on like 39 feet to like 37 foot patterns, 41 feet around the middle range. I think anything longer is a little bit too long. Anything shorter, it's still a little bit too much ball. But I think a lot more pros are going to be drilling IQ tours on the tour starting 2024. I would imagine.
Yeah, you definitely did, for whatever reason on Dragon in this place that we're in, Majestic Lanes. You definitely didn't want to play the hold. You wanted to play the hook wherever. However, like last week, I felt like I had more hook. This week, I feel like I had less room right or less hook. But you definitely wanted to play the hook and not play the hold. My good shots were shots that went right and then looked like they had shape going into the pocket. My bad shots were one that had no shape in front of the lane, and they all went high. I left the 3-6-10 or 3-6 combo probably like 6 times in 4 games. So yeah, but listen, like I said, I'm happy with the way I bowled. I'm happy with the way I'm throwing it. I think July 15th and 16th, Greg Tack's having 2 tournaments at Carolier. One of them's an over-under. If there's anybody out there local who's over 50 and you're interested in bowling, I know there's a few people that hit me up from the show that are local. If any of you guys are listening and you want to bowl, let me know. I'm definitely down. And I do not care what it doesn't matter how you think you're going to bowl. If you want to come out, have a fun day, bowl, maybe we can grab a bite to eat afterwards or whatever, but hit me up about that if you're interested. So that's it. I think I'll be in a much better position next week because I had, point-wise, I had a good night. I could not even make a pair in the card game, which was frustrating as hell. I couldn't even make a pair. It was ridiculous. I think I got 9 cards in both games and couldn't make a pair. I'm like, what is going on here? But, yeah, that's my league report. That's my league report for this week.
All right. Well, keep at it. We'll see what shakes out next week. So, all right. I say we get into the nitty gritty because I know people want to talk about it, and it's
let's do it. More Urethane talk.
more urethane talk, but this one was a big one.
And you know what? Now, before you say that, I'm serious with the memes I put out on Twitter. Like, I'm kind of tired of this, man. I'm kind of tired of talking about urethane. Like, urethane balls should not be what we're discussing in bowling, and it kind of dominates the conversation and has dominated the conversation for quite a long time, and has dominated even the conversations in the coverage of bowling, like including podcasts, including the shows, including ball releases or content put out by ball companies. And honestly, like, I'm just tired of it. Like, let's just, even if we have to ban it, and I don't want to ban it, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but if that's what we have to do to not make this the point of obsession in the bowling community, then I'm okay with that.
So I
Because it's a little ridiculous.
I think there's a bigger conversation than urethane here, and I wanted to talk about it. And I made a list of winners and losers from this new rule going into effect. And I want to jump into one of the losers here because I feel like there's a bigger conversation, and I know not a lot of people have talked about it. But in my sense as a fan, I think the PBA creating that new rules committee with Neil Stremmel heading up the research and advance, the research and doing all that, and then creating a new rule that completely trumps the USBC rule, right? Now you have two organizations that have different rule committees, and you have the PBA pretty much, my opinion, almost sticking up a middle finger to the USBC saying like, hey, you could have your urethane hardness rule. We're going to create our own hardness rule because we did more research and we actually did more we spent more time, and we're going to take action on the results that we came up with. When I feel like the USBC have been looking into this thing for years and really never made any adjustments to really any rules except for maybe banning some older version balls like 2018 and beyond. I mean, Mike, what do you think of that way to look at it?
I don't know. I mean, what I don't know. I don't have many thoughts on that. Like, it doesn't surprise me that the two different organizations have two different rules because, as we well know, the two different organizations that we're talking about, the PBA and the USBC, they have completely different agendas, right? The PBA's agenda is to generate income in some way, I would say, through advertising, right? Promote bowling, promote the players, but they also want to make sure that there's integrity in the competitions that are taking place under their name, right? The USBC, they're a business support organization, right? They're really here to support the bowling centers, the proprietors, mostly, I would say. So to me, it's not surprising. Like, for the USBC to do the same that the PBA did would have a much larger footprint in terms of who it's going to impact, right? And how many people it's going to impact. And they're aware of that. I mean, they're certainly aware of that. So I think they have to be a little more careful. I think that for the most part, and I saw a comment, somebody was here early and commented while we were getting ready to do the show, and Greg Tack put out a thing on Facebook as well about how the regional players are going to be impacted by this, and some of them don't have ball deals, and they're going to have to spend more money with balls.
And I wanted to rip Greg Tack's post to shreds. I wanted to, and I didn't, because we talked about how expensive.
Friend of the show, Greg Tack. You hear that, Greg Tack? My guy.
Look, I could disagree with Greg Tack's opinion. Okay,
sure.
If you're bowling the regionals, if you're bowling the regional circuit, you could afford to drill a couple of new balls, okay? We talked about how expensive it is to bowl the regional tour, okay? You're in for at least $1,000 to $1,500 when you're bowling a regional if you're driving over an 8-hour span, right? Between hotels, food, entry fees, right? Dude, if you can't afford to drill a new urethane ball or a new maybe IQ Tour or something that's going to get you through the fresh, then you
Five
probably,
newer urethane balls.
whatever it
Right.
is, you probably shouldn't be bowling regionals and shouldn't be on the circuit. We talked about months ago about how like bowling is now a white collar sport than it is a blue collar sport, and that is definitely the case if you're bowling the regional tour, especially on the West Coast. Okay, because you have to drive 12 hours to bowl a regional these days with the gas and the hotel. If you can't afford to drill a couple new balls, then you probably shouldn't be bowling the regionals.
My thought on Greg's post was this, and I've said this to Greg before too, and so he, again, I don't come on here and say stuff about people or to people that I haven't said to them already. How you bowling regionals at a high level and not have a ball deal?
That's not even. I mean, the bowl deal.
I mean,
I get
you're
that.
making cuts. If you're making cuts, if you're bowling well, you're placing, you're cashing consistently. I mean, I'd say 90% of the people that are in that group have a ball deal.
But you know what though? Sometimes you have an advantage not having a ball deal. I'll be honest with you. To be able to throw balls from all different companies, to be able to have a Purple Hammer, a Venom Shock, a Hyro, whatever, right? Some of the
Right.
best balls is an actual advantage when you bowl. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing we can get into. But all right, well, I want to break down what the rule was because I'm not sure if everybody is aware of exactly what the rule was. First off, the rule is not banning urethane. Okay,
No.
it's kind of an indirect ban in a kind of way where they're making the hardness rule from 73 HD to 78 HD. Okay, now the reason they did that is because of the fact that it's not because of how the balls are made; it's the fact that the ball gets softer over time, and they needed to figure a way out on how to combat that, right? And they actually had some research that said that some of these balls are dropping 3 to 5 hardness levels within like 10 minutes to like 3 games, which is crazy to me. So essentially, they raised it 5 points so that it takes into consideration the ball as their pros are using it, right? So to me, like it's not banning urethane. People can still throw urethane if it makes the hardness. I would imagine that the companies are probably in the works right now of making urethane balls that have 78 hardness. I guess my question to you and people in the chat room is um, how much of a difference is a 78 HD going to make on ball performance than a 73 HD? As a fan and somebody who doesn't really know what those numbers really mean, because I'm not like too much on
Yeah,
that
we
technical
really
side.
have no idea.
We don't.
No.
We don't.
But
So
I don't even think the people making these rules have an idea about what the impact of a 73 or 70 versus 78 is in terms of actual data on this one hooks X centimeters and this one hooks X centimeters at this angle. I don't think we have data like that. I haven't seen any if that's out there.
so to me, like I've reached out to people that may know this answer, and I've been told that it's going to make a huge difference to 73 to 78. Someone who is in the bowling industry, quote unquote, told me the pitch black at 78 HD will be a good spare ball. So I'm curious to see what the PB that's that. Now I've also heard
But people have told me that at one time the pitch black was already produced at that level, at that
could
hardness.
be, could
So,
be.
in fact, like one source mentioned to me that when Jesper won a lot of his titles with the pitch black, it was a harder pitch black. So I don't know. I'm not again like even generally speaking or speaking about data. There's no real answer on this to me, right? There's no real answer that I'm aware of in terms of what the impact of all this is. But there could be a lot of impact though. I do agree with that. Besides the performance of the ball, Rob, right? Besides how the actual ball is going to perform on the lane, and our assumption there is it's going to hook less, right?
Of
What are the
course.
other things that could be impacted by this decision, right? I'll throw one out there to start. You want to comment on it? I'm sure you're probably thinking along the same lines. Transition in lane play could be highly impacted by this rule change. You want to
Sure.
speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're going to have less soft balls going down the lane, right? And it's essentially going to not change the lanes the way they've probably been changing the last couple of years, right? And I saw someone had an interesting comment in our chat room, and I'd like to bring it up, but I don't know, I can't find it, saying that actually EJ Tackett is going to be affected by this in a worse way because EJ actually benefited from the soft urethane balls going down the lane. I mean, it's an interesting point because here I am thinking EJ was the big winner in this all, right? Because, he was with Motive and they didn't really have a pitch black or a purple hammer in their bag. And he learned how to, beat everybody essentially with throwing, hybrid Motive, tanks and throwing, these Motive balls when everyone else is throwing purple hammers and pitch blacks, right? Lane play, yes.
Motive
Now,
balls don't hook that much anyway. So
look, and they don't, but he's been throwing them great and they look great. They've been
well,
having a
for him
great
they
year
do,
on
yeah.
tour. They've been having a great year on tour. It will affect lane play. Now, for the scores being higher or lower, like I couldn't answer that. I don't really know how a rule change of 5 is going to affect the scores on the PBA tour, right? Are the scores going to be higher? Are they going to be lower? Like, I don't know that. And I'm not going to comment on that because I really don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. All right, so to me, transition could be impacted. Right,
Yes.
that's another thing. There's a lot of good comments here. After we're done
Yeah.
this part of the conversation, I want to go back and bring up some of these comments.
Yeah, we got to bring up a lot of them.
Yeah, transition could be impacted. How
Sure.
these guys play the lane. If these urethane balls do not hook, okay, and they don't work, quote unquote, on the patterns as they stand.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to see guys use more reactive earlier in blocks,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to break down a lot differently than they currently do. Okay, and
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just my guess. You're gonna see lofting the gutter again. You're gonna see right, front of the ball return madness. Like Brian Valenta against Bill O'Neill, lofting it over, sliding on the left lane, bowling on the right lane. Okay,
Maybe.
to me, like that's what you're going to see. So okay, transition can be impacted. Right?
Transition. There's going to be a lot of impact. Okay.
All right. What else? What else?
Lefties.
Lefties.
Okay. Lefties are impacted. Okay. And that's my loser, right? That's one of my losers is lefties. And look, I'm not going to talk about specific pros that are going to be impacted by this, but I would say most, if not 95% of the left-handed players will be impacted by this.
They already have it somewhat tough.
They already have it somewhat tough. They're taking, some of their best balls out of their arsenal. A lot of the players now are going to have to physically start making adjustments to what's going on these lanes. I mean, look, this is lefties to me. Like that's the biggest one of the other impact here.
The ball manufacturers,
in a good way or bad way. In a good way or bad way, because I can make both points to good way and bad way here.
Yeah, I think there's positives and negatives, but I don't think there's any debate that it's in some way impactful to them. Right now,
Sure.
They have to go and produce a ball at a greater hardness, right? And you have to, because there's two different rules. You kind of have to decide. Well, are we only going to produce this ball for the tour, or are we going to make this ball fully publicly available? And if we make it fully publicly available, are we going to do away with the one from before? Or are we going to continue to make that publicly available because that's still legal in many instances for people? So to me, yeah, there's a lot of impact there. I would say
they already released
the competitive,
balls. Right?
Yeah, the high level competitive bowler or amateur or regional player is probably impacted by this too. I don't want to hear the crying from the people that agree with Greg Tack. But I do think that Greg's point is an undeniable point. I mean, clearly, this is that you're going to have to go out and spend some more money. I agree with you. I think that, if you're bowling regionals, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. The other thing that I wanted to discuss here before we get to some comments from people is this. They already put rules in place going into this year, right? About urethane balls having to be manufactured after a certain date, right? And we still saw the Purple Hammer win. Okay. You saw it win multiple times on tour, and you saw it in the finals a lot, right? So, my question becomes: is there any chance that this doesn't change much? I had one person in the know argue with me and say, well, those Purple Hammers that they were using, even the new ones, because they were getting softer over time, after they used them in a few events, now they were soft enough, they performed better, and those people bowled better, right? But my counter to that was, well, I understand that could be the case, but I don't think it's out of complete context to say that players drill new balls all the time. So who's to say that a Packy Hanrahan or a Kevin Williams or a Matt Russo or whoever you want to name, right? Who's to say that when those guys made runs on TV, made deep runs in tournaments, who's to say that they weren't throwing a brand new Purple Hammer that was just freshly drilled? So I don't know. There's so much gray area here to me. But my question remains this, Rob. Is there a chance that even with this rule, you're still going to see the Purple Hammer dominate?
I mean, are the companies going to remake the Purple Hammer at 78?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Now, again, is it going to be a tour only ball, or is it going to be something that they make generally available to the public? I can picture it just being a tour only ball. You put a different marking on there, you put a different pin on there, right? But again, the general public in bowling is so convinced that you need all these bowling balls, and the bowling balls are so important. And again, I'll say it again for the second time on this particular episode: you should only be drilling gems. And yes, the Purple Hammer is one of those. But if you're not bowling competitively on sport patterns, you don't really need the Purple Hammer. But what would happen is they would put a different version of it out with a different colored pin, and you'll have people lined up the pro shop door. Okay, you'll have people lined out the pro shop door to get it.
But will it perform the same? Like, will it perform?
I don't know.
Performance of the ball.
People are saying no. People are saying no. But
then the answer is no. The answer is no. It won't.
We also, again, there's been changes in the past where it was supposed to be like, well, this is going to affect the performance, and it turned out that it didn't. So what if the same happens here, where they raise this and they're throwing the harder balls, and they just put more surface on them?
No,
they just put more surface on them, and they work just as good.
But the Purple Hammer, we didn't know because it was going from being produced in Hopkinsville to now going to be produced in Mexico, in Brunswick, right? So that was the big question behind the Purple Hammer. Like, will it be the same? Because the one in Hopkinsville was amazing. I had one. I have a blank one still in my house. And to me, it's like, okay, yes, they did. Whatever they did in Mexico was definitely as good as they did in Hopkinsville. The ones in Mexico actually hook more than the ones in Kentucky. Now, whole different ball game when you have to raise the hardness of it 5 points, right? And like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if that's going to make a difference between the ball's performance. A lot of people who are in the bowling know or in the industry say it will. I tend to believe it because they know a lot of that stuff. I don't.
But a lot of the people that are saying that are the ones who want to see it banned anyway.
Right. Well, we'll talk a whole nother. That's a whole nother fucking. There's a whole lot of conspiracy.
Cha. That's what I feel like this whole week has been. I do. I feel like in on bowling social media, it's been certain people like, hey, did you hear the news? Did you hear the news? And celebrate good times. Come on,
Purple Hammer, God.
And then other people are just, the other side is just,
Oh, well,
Stone face, you know what I
oh,
mean?
well, I could drill this and we'll be okay. Like,
Oh my
look,
goodness. All right,
it's a
so
it's a
we'll
patch pirate war going on out there, right? There's a lot of walking the planks, matey. There's a lot of stuff going on out on social media too, and I'm
so
here
let's
for it.
let's go to some comments. Right, let's
Okay,
go to some comments here. Lumberflexual, the burner, one of my favorite burners. What's up,
dude,
Lumber?
great. Lumber's the best.
Prediction: Purple Hammer comes back at new compliance harness and still dominates. From what? From what? But see, but this is interesting to me because I'll make a point after this. From watching the last couple years of the PBA through a few times, I would point to pin carry more than hook. Okay, I don't know how much I agree with that, but let's say that the Purple Hammer does come back at the new hardness compliance and it does dominate. Do you want to know what's going to happen, Rob? They're going to
They're gonna
find
raise.
another reason. They're going to find another reason to change the rule again
Ooh, wait, wait, wait,
and
wait.
go
So what?
after this ball and
So
ban
wait.
this ball.
So what you're saying
Yeah.
is there is a conspiracy going on
No,
behind the
I'm not going to
scenes.
use that word.
A
I'm not
witch
going to use
hunt?
that
A
word.
witch hunt? A witch hunt?
I'm going to say strong feelings.
Okay, strong feelings
There
that
are
the purple.
strong feelings. I
Okay, that
emphasize the word strong purposefully
so
there.
so
Okay.
your speculation, or do you know for sure that there was some kind of like coup d'état to get rid of
No,
the purple
no,
hammer?
not at all. Not at
Okay,
all. But I don't at the same time, I don't think it's any secret to anyone out there that if you are not on Brunswick staff, you're really not a fan of the Purple Hammer, and you probably think it's a cheater ball, and you probably think it should be banned, and you're probably not real happy about the rise of urethane in the game in general, etc., etc., etc.
so
Right?
let me squash a little bit of the rumor here, okay? Because there's been a lot of rumors going on that the players committee had a big influence in pressing the PBA for this new harness rule, okay? And the reason that there's a rumor or conspiracies around this is the fact that I believe that there's 10 to 11 players on the PBA players committee, and like 8 or 9 or some of the like majority are Storm staffers. Okay. And there's been conspiracies and rumors that these like 8 or 9 players on the PBA players committee all ganged up and they went to the PBA and they like pressed them to make this new rule because they wanted to see the Purple Hammer eliminated. I reached out to one of those players on the PBA players committee. Okay. I'm not going to say who, it was off the record. And I asked if there was any of that going on. Okay. And the answer was a hard no, that they don't even have any like say in like what the PBA rules do when it comes to like the technical aspects of it. I believe that. I don't believe that there was some conspiracy between the players committee to all sit at a round table and press the PBA, right? I don't believe that. I thought about it could be true, and then after I reached out to my contact, they were just like, "No, that's not the case." So, all right, I was like, I understand that. So I just wanted to put that out there that I know there's that rumor and conspiracy going around, but it's kind of like was shut down. So
Yeah. At the same time, though, if you expect me to sit here and believe that a company like Storm doesn't have any number one doesn't have a stake in the game of their feelings on this ball, generally speaking. Okay, and number two doesn't have influence. I mean, come on. Clearly that's just not believable.
yeah,
Now,
but Brunswick
am
is
I
also big influence too.
exactly? And am I implying that there's something to that? No, but I think that the reason that I say that is because I think that even the constant chorus from those players consistently and just constantly discussing that issue and at times coming out publicly and discussing the issue in ways that levy fines, etc. That can have an impact. That can have an impact in and of itself, right? And when you have a chorus of people that are consistently putting the same message out there, you put pressure on those in power to do something about it. right? I don't think that that's shocking to anybody. So there's definitely a lot of layers to this issue. All right, more comments here. But I believe, Rob, that if the Purple Hammer comes back at the new hardness rule and continues to be a constant factor in people's performances, then this issue isn't over.
Well, let me ask you though on that. If the urethane comes back at 78 hardness and it's all of a sudden not good, the performance of these balls are not good. Is that how much of a bigger impact does that make on the PBA tour if the urethane balls can't be thrown at 78 to a domination level of that what they've been throwing it right now?
Big impact, but the top players are still going to be the top players.
Will they?
Yeah, I believe so.
You do.
Oh yeah.
So you believe that
EJ, Belmo, and Simo will still be
Okay.
the top 3 players next year.
Forget the right side. Forget the right side. I'm going to get a little bit deep here. Will the lefty top performers still be top performers?
Maybe not.
Okay. I'm interested. To me,
Maybe
that's
not.
the most interesting part of it. If the urethane isn't the way it is now and it's not performing how it is, will the top performing lefties on tour still be there next year at that level? That's what
maybe
I'm
not, but I also think that it will be a test of how good are they? You know, how versatile are they? Can they figure it out? You know, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge behind guys at that level, and it doesn't surprise me when they figure it out. All right, other comments. Well, off the gutter caps back in play. Oh.
My favorite. Oh,
here's a great comment from Lou. Lou, what's up? Good luck at the regional this weekend. I want to know why these discussions don't talk about the cores in these balls. Urethane balls in the 80s had super high RG cores with little to no flare. You can't tell me that this Purple Hammer cover wrapped around a 1988 Fay-Ball Hammer core would be an issue if it got softer. It's an interesting point. You know, is there more to the dynamics of the ball than just the softness or the cover of the ball?
Of course there is. But this is a whole nother side of the industry that I'm not an expert at by any means when it comes to like the technical side of it. I can say that the cover does, have more influence than the core does. I mean, just look at a plastic ball compared to a high performance. You could put a plastic cover on a high performance core, and the ball is going to be a spare ball, right? So
fair point.
The covers do have a lot of more influence than the cores do. But yeah, the cores have an influence. I mean, they wouldn't be marketing the new core, that they just put in a bowling ball if it didn't have any influence. But the covers for me always have a greater influence in the ball's performance.
Great comment from Nico.
Let's talk lanes.
Great comment from Nico. Great comment from Nico, especially his comment is I think they need to put more oil on the lane, so that does that would impact this issue differently. Those are my words, not his.
It has nothing to do with the oil. It doesn't.
We disagree here, bro.
Let me finish. The lane surface has a lot to do with why there's so much lofting going on, why there's so much urethane getting put on the lanes, right? The most bowling alleys have very old lane surfaces, Mike, and the lane surfaces are just beat up, regardless of what you put on the lane. Unless you're putting like 50 mils, right, and you're really, really flooding them, the lane surface is always gonna the conditions are always gonna kind of tend back to what the lane surfaces are doing. They can't battle the lane surface, and you have to essentially ask every bowling center Bolero, right, to start putting new lane surfaces in, right? Shit, they can't even put in faucets in their sink and doorknobs on their bathroom doors, and you're going to ask them to start putting in new lane surfaces in all their bowling centers? That'll be the last thing they do. Shit, there'll have to be a hole in the middle of the lane where the ball falling through the lane in order for them to change lane surfaces.
I mean, okay, so answer me this then. So are you saying that it's impossible to put out a condition that makes it tough to use urethane? Come on.
Look, urethane is gonna.
That's nonsense, Rob.
In today's game, They're going to find a way to use the urethane because the lane surfaces suck, Mike. They suck. There isn't a good lane surface out there right now in Bolero. They're throwing the new lane surfaces are what needs to happen in order for them to be able to actually maintain the integrity of the pattern. These patterns are keep reverting back to its old like self on the old lane surfaces. And I've talked to numerous pros about it, and it's a lot of the same, same thing. It's like, man, these lane surfaces are just old, and they're trying to put out these patterns, but the lane surfaces just kind of tend to the fronts tend to hook, and it's just I don't know. Look, I could be wrong here, but I've talked to a lot of people about that. I'd be curious to see what people say in the chats about it.
Give Greg Tack the keys to the oil machine, and I guarantee you he can come up with something that they won't be able to use urethane.
So look, I'm getting trumped already in the chat by
that's
Mr.
what I'm
Kyle
saying.
Troop, right?
It's unbelievable to me. I mean, I go out and bowl on stuff that I say there's no way somebody could use urethane on this. I don't care.
I'm going to read his comment. Tour final lane surfaces are quite new and definitely not super early fronts. Only urethane used. So then, are we talking more of the pattern integrity, right? So is it going to be more? Should the PBA start messing around or start? I mean, look, we've had this conversation.
Yes.
Like,
yes. The answer to that is yes. Get more creative. Challenge the players in different ways. What, like, are we surprised that they're doing the same thing when you're putting out the same thing over and over again, year after year? I mean, come on, challenge the players. Come up with different ideas of what's out on the lane that dictate what you can and can't do in these instances.
Do you know who? To me,
Kyle, I hope the house is going good, man. Hope the house is going well. Bro.
Congrats on your win, by the way. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah, no doubt.
But man, like, so to me, like, another big winner in all of this, Mike, and I was going there with the biggest winner, the fans, Mike. The fans were the biggest winner of this PBA rule. When I saw this PBA rule go into effect, I was just like, hey, we're not to see urethane so much anymore on the shows. Because guess what, Mike? Urethane is boring. It's boring. As a fan, urethane is like, oh, God, I don't want to watch anymore. It's boring. Put in some high performance balls in Kyle Troop's hand. Watch these messengers get thrown around until string pins get put in. I'm ready for some new high performance bowling balls on the shows, Mike. I'm ready for it. Plus 135. We got him, Troop. Let's go. Let's fucking go on that.
I don't know if Kyle's still here or not. Sorry, Kyle. I didn't bet on you. I bet on Chris Prather. I had him early, though. I took him early. I took him to win his group, and I took him to win the overall.
Dude, me and my brother was here with me, dude. We were like, wait, Kyle's plus 135? We were like, throw it. We were throwing all in.
For the final match, just to beat Prather. Okay.
Yeah, so we were throwing in money.
I didn't take that. I did not have money on that. I had Prather to win overall and Prather to win his group.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk more about it later. But Mike, the fans, what do you think of my take here with the fans being the big winners of the whole rule?
That remains to be seen.
I can't wait.
Is it going to shock me if we get a show next year, or especially an early show, where there's 3 out of 5 guys throwing urethane? No, it's not going to shock me at all. It's not going to shock me at all because, again, if you keep putting the same type, general range of patterns out, okay, these guys are good enough and smart enough and have enough knowledge behind them that they're going to find a way to make what they have work and be able to do what they want to do, And at times, what they do is probably going to match up and work. Might not be all that often, but you have numerous guys in the field who are playing them that way. So, again, not going to surprise me if that's what we see even coming out of the gate early next year. I won't believe it until I see it. That's what I'm saying. I will not believe that there's going to be that impactful of it. Now, I'm talking about for the tour. For a hack like me, yeah, this ball is probably not going to hook at all. It's probably going to be terrible. I probably won't even buy one or drill one up.
Well, you don't need to.
I know. There's no reason for me to. So, like,
now, okay, so here's my next question, because I know there's some people out there who are asking this, right? I already know the answer, but I wanted to bring this up. Is USB-C next to go on the 78 HD rule change, Mike?
Across the board?
Across the
Or
board.
no chance. In certain instances, wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. Open and Masters are impacted by this too.
You
And
think that they
perhaps
could do that?
I
U.S. the
do,
national
I
tournament?
do, I do,
You think
and perhaps
that
USBCs. Yes, I think
opens?
could be. Yep, yep. Same thing with Junior Gold. I think could be. But I don't. I
But
think a lot
why?
of that
So
remains to be seen.
I guess my question then would be is if that happens and the USBC kind of take the PBA's lead here, why how could they what the USBC that's the national governing body, Mike. This is the organization that's supposed to be creating these rules, not the PBA. The PBA is not supposed to be creating these rules. How could the USBC like make those changes when they weren't even the ones to come up with the rule like don't you think that's kind of admitting defeat in a weird way if they were to kind of follow the PBA's lead on on the rule change?
No, if they do it in certain instances, no, because I think that um, they can use the reasoning of once you get to an elite level competition, this rule has to be implemented to make sure that the competition is fair in terms of the equipment that the competitors are using. You know,
You see, I don't think they'll change it. I don't think at all, right? I could see them sitting back and saying, well, first off, the PBA creating the national, oh yeah, lumber flexual. The USBC will make an announcement halfway through the U.S. Open, right? That wouldn't surprise me these days. But like my thing is like I don't think they'll ever because there's definitely an ego there, and to me, it's like if you're making that change with the PBA when they created their rules committee, you're essentially admitting that you tested the balls and you couldn't come up with a rules. So now we're admitting defeat and we're just going to use what the PBA's rule is because we
yeah, I
couldn't
don't view
figure
it
it
that
out.
way. I just view this as the PBA saying we're going to have a higher standard for what's legal and what's not. And I think
Yep.
that the USBC can say, okay, well, in certain instances, we're gonna adopt that standard because PBA players are involved in these events, right? So, all
Okay. We'll
right,
see what happens.
we will see what happens. I mean, here's the one thing I know: the urethane conversation is going to continue. It's not going to
Okay.
be done when the PBA season comes back around in January. One of the things we're going to be talking about that's going to be on our list is what's the impact of the new urethane rule going to be and what are we going to see? So I'm not excited about that.
So there's a couple other winners here I want to mention. Honorable mention for my winners here. Okay. I have EJ Tackett as being a winner in this situation. Okay. He's the best in the world. He's going to find a way to make it work. Nothing changes for him other than maybe the lane play transitions might be
Yeah, I was going
different.
to say,
It doesn't
I don't know
matter,
about that.
Mike, but to
You're
me,
right, though.
he's
You're right.
amazing. He's
You're
not,
right.
it ain't going to matter, right? The ultimate winner in this whole situation that we haven't talked about is Sean Rash. Okay. Sean Rash is the biggest winner out of this whole situation. He was the first person to say it and to openly take criticism about it. He took a bunch of shit on the internet, Twitter, Facebook, crybaby, all kinds of shit, integrity. You have no idea what you're talking about, all kinds of shit. Fast forward years later after he said it, all this crap goes down, right? With the illegal and then softness and then the black curtain. And now the PBA actually, increases the hardness when Rash has been saying it for years, right? So, in my opinion, Rash is the big winner here. He should just say, I told you so, and a huge, huge, huge post on Twitter telling everybody I told you so. Okay.
All right, can I play devil's advocate with you on that
Sure.
one?
Yeah.
And, much love to Sean Rash. But, what is he right about?
He was right that these balls, these urethane balls that they were throwing weren't right. There was something wrong with them. He said it, integrity, right? He knew something was not right, essentially calling them cheater balls. And now that
So
the
you
PBA
think
is
So you think that the information that is currently presented rises to the point of there actually being an integrity issue?
I think he was on to something. Now obviously wasn't testing the bowling balls, right? From a player's perspective and bowling against it as many as how much he's bowled against it, he knew something was wrong. And he was right. There was something wrong. In my
I don't know.
opinion.
I think that his comments were much stronger than that, just to say that something's not right. And I'm not sure that his viewpoint has been completely justified by the current information that we have.
Here's a great comment because there's a lot of bigger story to this. Russell Yap, good to see you, bro. Hope all's well. He was still on Brunswick. You think his stance would be different? The answer is yes. Okay. So here's the deal, right? You can't really okay, I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't like make everybody angry, okay? To this day and age, the content that gets put out on social media by bowling creators putting out content, most everybody has some kind of agenda, relationship with bowling ball companies, staff, contract, you know, family history, right, with ball companies. There's a lot of agenda going on and there's a lot of bias, right, towards bowling ball companies. It's tough these days to figure out if the people that are what they're doing on their content on their YouTubes, on their Facebooks, on their social media is actually being like true and legit, or if they're just pushing a new bowling ball, if they're just trying to sell a ball, if they're team whatever they and they're throwing comments out like, oh well, Sean Rash is a crybaby, oh because he's on Storm staff, so he's gonna call Sean Rash, oh I'm sorry, he's on Brunswick staff, so he's gonna call Sean Rash a crybaby. Like there's just a lot of agenda going on in the bowling world, right? And to me, when a rule goes into place like this, Mike, that has to do with a bowling ball and a bowling ball company, you really don't know who to believe, and you don't know who's saying what for certain reasons.
Well, in Rash's case, to Rash's credit, I mean, I think he's been pretty clear that he wants all urethane banned. He doesn't care he just doesn't like urethane in general in the game. So I respect that position.
He doesn't
right?
like urethane. Yeah, he doesn't.
But again,
like urethane.
in terms of like, is there an integrity issue here? I'm not going to go as far as to say that like he can stick his flag in the ground and say, "Yep, I was absolutely 100% undeniably right on that one." We'll disagree on that now. Let me say, if these new balls come out at this harder measurement, okay, and there's a drastic impact in how they perform to the point that guys who were bowling successfully with these older balls are nowhere to be seen, okay, then I will be prepared to say that yes, he can plant his flag in the ground.
So it's to be determined, essentially, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot still to be determined here.
It is.
So I want to answer this comment from Joey Christen. I hope I said your name right. What's up, Joey? I don't recognize your name. Thanks for joining us tonight. Neil Stremmel posted the data. Yes, they knew they were soft. Yes, I understand that, Joey. I get that, and I read the article, and I saw the post with the data. I've looked at the USB-C data as well. That's not really my point. My point is more so, what is the measurable impact of that softness? You feel me on that? That's the question that I would like an answer to. What is the measurable impact of that ball being softer? What does it equal? Does it equal two more boards hook, a quarter board more hook, more angle for carry? Somebody mentioned earlier. I don't know, and I'm not sure that there is a lot of data out there on that, right? So
you want to talk about somebody who knows this
Chuck,
shit?
What's up, man?
You want someone who knows something a little bit about bowling? Chuck Gardner, what's up, man? Good to see you. If it's the right Chuck Gardner that I'm thinking about, right? The bowl rep for 20 some years, probably more than that. This will all be decided by what pattern they use, 100%. Hey, I'm gonna throw in lane surface too, because I'm gonna die on that hill, Mike. So
Chuck,
look,
I don't know if you were here earlier. We were just having that conversation, And Rob was saying he doesn't think it's so much the lane patterns. And no matter what they put out there, you'd probably see urethane. And to me, I was saying, no, I think that the fact that they constantly use lane patterns that are the same year to year and fall into these parameters, these general parameters, is really more of a problem. If they would just start putting out a wider variety of patterns, you might solve this issue without worrying about any kind of bowling balls or softness or any of this stuff. So, all right, are we done with this conversation, Rob?
Man, we could talk probably for hours trying to get to like all the impact of this rule change. But yeah, I mean, I'm good. Look, right now, just like when they first started banning, or the hardness and all that, it was all TBD, right, to be determined. It'll be interesting to see how the tour plays out next year. TV shows, lefties, two-handers.
Joey, I saw Ron. He says Ron Hicklin's video where he chemically softens a purple. It's interesting, and while not scientifically valid, it is a big difference. I saw that video, Joe, and I'll be honest. I even though I saw the video, I found it hard to even see myself what the actual measurable impact of that was. Right. So I don't know. I think it still remains to be seen. Chuck chiming in and saying all the urethane balls are affected by this rule since the rule was 75. Okay. Yeah, no doubt. Dave chiming in. Hammer made the perfect ball and everyone else couldn't duplicate it. Chick-fil-A makes the best sandwich and McDonald's tried and failed. Should they ban Chick-fil-A? I don't know, Dave. What are you trying to say there? I love McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is always too crowded, though.
Popeye's
too crowded at the Chick-fil-A.
Popeye's got a good chicken.
Popeye's got a good chicken sandwich. KFC is a good chicken sandwich too. And honestly, I think Popeyes or KFC chicken sandwich is actually better than Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A sandwich is a little plain for me. It's a little plain.
KFC. I won't say KFC. All right, Mike. I'm sure this will be not the last time we talk urethane. I'm sure there'll be more. I'm sure we'll be talking about this till the 2024 season. I know the fans won't let it go. It's gonna be the topic here. An FYI for the people that are listening out there, and you're not bowling the national tour, you're not even bowling the regional tour. This ain't influencing you. You could still use your same old equipment. You could still use your purple hammer that you have in your bag. This ain't going to influence what you're doing and what balls you're drilling. This is strictly national PBA tour right now, and I think some other. Is that regional, Mike? Did they say was that a regional rule they're making?
Yeah.
So the regionals too, they can't throw it at regionals.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Mike. There was some bowling this weekend. Some that I couldn't stand. I felt
there was hours of bowling. There was hours of bowling this weekend, bro.
Man, talk about the worst possible shows on Saturday. Okay, I'm gonna say this. First off, I'm not reviewing the Saturday shows, okay, because I shut it off mid game. I shut it off. I turned on the Yankee game, and I'm a fucking Mets fan. Qualifying and seeding rounds and seeding games should never be allowed on TV, Mike.
I agree, bro.
It was the most boring, go through the motions shit that I've ever watched as a fan watching television, right? They bowling on television. They could have easily used that time so much better, and we've beat this dead horse on numerous shows, right?
Isn't it interesting, like how many times they do this? Isn't it like noticeable how many hours of content the PBA puts on TV that is just
I just don't understand like why they couldn't use that TV time to make match play. Sunday shows
Russell Gap 24-man step ladder. I know.
Please, for the love of God. Look, I want legit meaningful matches. Okay.
Ride Mac in the chat says it was perfect to take a nap.
Put you to sleep.
I can't say I disagree there, bro.
Okay. Meaningful matches. That's what I want on television. No 24-man stepladder. I want best of 3, best of 2. I don't care what it is. Bracket matches, right? if you win, you go home, or if you win, you stay. You lose, you go home. That's the matches that I want to see on television. I don't want to see 24-man step ladders where the 22nd seed bowls the 21st seed, and it doesn't really matter because none of them are winning. But if you put bracket style competition and you use all the television time to show these matches, on top of that, you could throw bets in each match because Sunday's
That's
matches were great, Mike.
that's where
Sunday's
I
ma-
want to go.
no, but Sunday's
What a,
matches were great. It was a
for,
great show Sunday.
forget about the entertainment factor of how they
Oh,
did
here
it,
we go on
and
the betting.
the fact that it sucked. Okay,
Yeah, it
the
was
fact that
terrible.
even your hardcore bowling fans would struggle to get through what they put on TV on Saturday. Okay. Now, I agree with you, obviously, that another format would have been better, right? But where the real lost opportunity was here, Rob, is that this was an event that was chef's kiss, perfectly made to promote betting.
You know what the problem is? Though I don't want to talk too much about betting right now.
Oh, stop.
I'll tell you why. Because there's only a few states that are allowed to bet, Mike. Do you know how many states in the chat and the people watching throughout the country can't bet right now? And I forget that sometimes
Okay.
because I'm in Arizona and I can bet, and you're in New Jersey and you can bet. We just happen to be living in probably the two greatest betting states in the country, other than Las Vegas. But like
Yeah,
people,
hold on. People that bet have ways to bet.
oh well, you bet through. You have
Okay.
to know someone in Arizona or know someone in Jersey. But
Or you have your local guy.
you
You
do.
know,
But look,
bookies are still out there doing that business. I mean, I know a lot of
they are.
guys that even though betting's legal, they still go through their bookie because they appreciate that relationship. So here's my point on that. If bowling would promote it, okay, if bowling would promote it and promote the outlets through which you could do it, it would spread. It would if the PBA said, okay, Angel of the Wings Casino is offering betting, here's their odds. Bet Rivers is offering betting in these states. Here's their odds. It's open to anybody else if you want to put odds out. If you want to give your people the option of action on bowling, it's there. It would start to spread. Then, if you had it at some of these major sports books, a local guy who doesn't have betting but who really likes to bet and has a connection with whoever can go to their guy and say, "Hey, look, here's these odds from these major sports book. They're offering this on DraftKings. Will you give me the same thing?" And
Yeah,
they
but
can
your
either tell
states,
them yes or no.
but your state you still have to be legally allowed to bet in your state. Like Florida, you can't bet at all, right? And I'd imagine eventually that's going to change. I would probably predict in the next 5 to 10 years, every state or most states, right, you're going to be allowed to bet, right, through apps and whatnot. But that's the reason why like bowling is still, you know, I just want to watch match play for the competition, for the drama, right? For look, like, just get rid of please, for the love of God, just get rid of these seating hours of long shows that
Man,
nobody really cares
what
about.
a missed
Like, just
opportunity to set it up for betting, promoting betting. Here
whatever.
we have this guy versus this guy. We're going to do a short round robin of matches, right? Something like that. I mean, just something creative, like you said, a best 2 out of 3. You know, bet on each game and bet on the overall winner. I mean, just so many
I know.
opportunities that were missed. Really, really boring show on Saturday. But then they
Oh,
came
here's
back
coming out.
Sunday.
Why did they need a seating round, Mike?
Mm.
They were already seated. I mean, it's a fair point, right? Like the number
I know
eight
you
seed should
take
have
the
been a number
stats.
8 seed
You take the stats from 2 years, right? You think that
and
that would
seed
be
them.
meaningful enough, more meaningful than a 3-game series, right?
Right.
To be able to say who should be where in the step ladder. But
Lazy. Mike, lazy.
yeah,
That's
I
what it
hear
is.
you. That's the
It's
common
lazy.
theme with a lot of these shows. So they come back Sunday though, Rob, and the
Great.
shows are really good.
They're really good.
Shows are really
I
good
had
on
a
Sunday.
blast watching them, It was just one of those type of shows where, you had Belmonte and missing spares, right? Some drama there, right? Which was weird. You don't see that a lot. I'm just trying to remember a lot of, like, if you want to go, do you have the matches in front of you? I mean, we can go through it, but I
I
mean, there was
don't, and I don't think there's a need. There was
need
so
to go
much
through
bowling.
each
I don't think
match.
there's a need to go through each one. I agree. I agree with Robert Hamilton in the chat here. The best match was Belmo Prather throughout the event. There were some issues with the approaches there in that match. So to me, that was a good match. Nico bringing up the fact that EJ kind of gave it away against Kyle Troop to a degree. I mean, listen, it's not the first time we've seen EJ do that, but I'm going to give him a pass because of the season he had. I also felt like Kyle was kind of bowling to make his season. And I know he didn't have a terrible season, but I certainly think he would say he didn't have a season that was up to his standards, especially as of late. And yeah, I kind of felt like he wanted it more, if that makes sense. He was out there bowling like this is it. This is my final opportunity to really to make a footprint on this season in some way, right? And shout to him, he was able to do that.
I didn't even see this.
I didn't notice it.
3Bet1 writes in the chat, Prather didn't congratulate Belmo after 300. Did you notice that? Somebody else mentioned that in the chat. I don't know if it was 3Bet1 mentioning it again.
I mean, could it have been that the camera just didn't catch it?
I think Prather might have just been pissed about the approaches. He seemed he was having kind of like a Simo type moment. You know what I mean? Like he just kind of let it bother him. He simmered and he still had a bowl of 2-frame roll off, which was like, for me, like he got really upset. He got pissed about it. And it kind of, and he ended up winning in the 2-frame roll off. And I didn't think he was going to be honest with you, because he was pissed. But I think Belmo kind of gave it to him a little bit. And Prather didn't have a great reaction, to be honest with you.
He was throwing urethane, which to me was shocking because you usually don't see him do that, and he was using it very well.
He was, but I didn't think he had a great reaction. I thought he pieced together that win against Belmo, if that makes any sense. He was spilling buckets, tripping 4-pins. I mean, he wasn't really.
He started to loft it over the front of the lane.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was ever. He didn't look like he was ever comfortable, right?
In the very beginning of the game, I felt like he was. In the very beginning of the match.
I don't think he was ever really that comfortable, and that's why when.
But once it started to transition a little bit, that's when I felt like he got uncomfortable, and he was just, we've all been there if you've bowled competitively, where you're just trying to piece it together. You're just trying to make that perfect shot, that right shot, put the touch on it that you need to make it do what it needs to do to strike. And he was able to survive.
But the funny thing is when I was driving, and I was like, yo, when those odds come in for the Troop Prather match, let me know. Because if those odds are favoring Troop, we're going to throw a ton of money at Troop, because I knew the reaction Troop had compared to Prather had.
Right.
And I was just like, dude, so when the odds came in at plus 135, I texted I was like, yo, that is unbelievable how those odds came in as Prather, as Troop an underdog. To me, Troop had a ton of a better reaction with his pitch black than Prather did.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. Pretty obvious that whoever's making the odds isn't
paying attention to ball reaction,
right, about what's going on.
Prather beat Belmo. All they saw was Prather beat Belmo, right? And that's why the odds came in as Troop an underdog.
Yeah, probably. I had already turned 20 into 180 with Prather beating Belmo. Right.
Oh, you bet on Prather?
Yeah, to win the group. Yeah, I turned 20 into 180 on that.
Nice.
He was like 9-1 or just above 9-1. So I had another 20 on Prather to win the whole thing. And that was 20, I think, to win 220 or 260. It was a decent amount. And I watched the matches previous, and even going into that match, I was like, Prather has very little chance of winning this match against Troop. I mean, Troop's look was just undeniable. It was undeniable. And his level of focus was there, and he was into it, and you could tell he wanted to win. And, it was nice to see him perform that way again. It's been a while since we've seen that version of Kyle Troop on TV. But, yeah, it spelled danger for Chris Prather for sure. And even though I had that bet, I was pretty sure I wasn't cashing that ticket.
So people are actually against the fro? Man, Nico in the chat, he wants to cut his hair short permanently.
Well, he did cut his hair short. I mean, if you saw it on the show, it was very, very short.
Yeah, but it was wet, right? When it's dry, it's more poofy.
Perhaps.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he won with it being not poofy, so maybe he stays with that until he feels like he needs to change it up. Bowlers are very superstitious. So
no doubt.
Anyway, yeah. Shouts to Troop now, 10 titles, Mike. He's Hall of Fame eligible. That's a hard tournament to win just because of, to me, the points. Like, that's always a harder tournament, just in the fact where you have to be in the top 8 in points.
Yeah, you got to bowl
So,
good for 2 seasons.
yeah. Anyway,
Really good for 1, anyway.
Like seeing bowling on TV on Sunday. Would like to see the PBA come up with, something better for Saturday shows next year. Get rid of the seeding rounds, please, for the love of God.
This is the time of the year where bowling should be dominating the sports TV landscape.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing. There's no sports on right now. It's the worst time of the year for sports.
This is it, man. This is it. Like, we got the schedule wrong, bro. We're starting in January, going up against NFL playoffs, going up against the Super Bowl for the first few months. Who the hell is going to pay any attention to bowling while NFL is going on, right? This should be the time of the year where bowling. I mean, if CBS Sports Network is willing to give bowling, 2, 4, 6, 8, like 10 hours of programming this weekend, okay? I mean, why are we not taking advantage of that on a regular basis?
Bowling should be on every week Mike. Bowling should be on every week at the same time.
I agree.
Like Monday Night Football.
And it should be during this time of the year.
During this time of the year, from the end of June, the middle of June, till probably the opening day of NFL, right? August or September, right?
I mean, I'd go, maybe you end the season with the NFL starting out. I'd like to see, I mean, we talked about this before. We did a whole episode on it, or a whole segment on it. I would like to see from the end of the NFL season until September, squeeze it all into that time frame. I'll take my shot against the NBA. I'll take my shot against baseball, hockey. I'll take my shot against all that. I'll probably do some of the less important tournaments in that time of the year. But to me, right now, hockey's over, basketball's over, baseball's the only thing going on, football's 2 months from starting. This is when we should be having our max lineup of bowling events. Here's the best we got. Every week, best of the best conditions, best tournaments, biggest prize funds, etc.
Something else too to talk about too. Traveling during this time of year is 1,000 times better for the pros, right? Instead of going to Indianapolis in January, like, why not have stops in the Midwest during the summer, right? Traveling for the pros is so much easier. The weather is usually nicer this time of year, obviously, other than maybe like thunderstorms and hurricanes and whatnot. But yes, it's also a lot better for the pros themselves traveling.
Nico saying that during the summer, Fox does soccer and baseball. It's hard to free up a weekend.
Come on.
I'm not saying it has to be the weekend. And you know what? I'll go up against soccer. I'll go up against baseball.
Me too. I'm not worried about the baseball and soccer have their hardcore fans, but I absolutely agree. Like, they need to use this time of year, this 2-month span, to really throw their heavy hitters, the U.S. Open, the Masters, PBA players, throw their majors somewhere in the next 8 weeks.
Make it bowling season.
Yeah, make it bowling season.
No doubt. All right, can we discuss this Pete Weber commercial?
The Muggsy commercial.
The Muggsy jeans.
Good for him. Look, anytime bowling is on,
Pete is eating off of Suck My Sack, yo. Can I just tell you? My man is eating for years off of his antics, and and you know what? Bowlers are dumb, bro, because you would think that bowlers would look at what goes on with him or what has gone on with him, and you think they'd say, you know what? I don't even need to be the best at throwing the bowling ball. I just need to make a show once in a while and have some antic type thing ready to go. And I'm going to be the most popular bowler on the planet. Okay, who's a more well-known bowler? Seriously, people, answer me this question: who's a more well-known bowler, Jason Belmonte or Pete Weber? You go up to the average Joe and say, "Hey," you show him a picture of Pete Weber. You know this guy? You show him a picture of Jason Belmonte. You know this guy? most of them are going to recognize Pete Weber. Not many of them are going to recognize Jason Belmonte. Okay, and much love to Belmo, man. I hope he's doing well. I hope he loves trolling me every once in a while, but I hope he's doing well with his family and enjoying his time and whatnot. But listen, it's the truth. It's the truth, and why? It's because the guy lost his mind on TV. That's why. Because the guy literally and legitimately lost his mind on TV. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's been documentaries done about this guy. There's been mockumentaries done about this guy. He's in commercials. He's in viral clips. His retirement goes viral on Twitter. Like, what more do you want, Like, I know that I hate when you compare and say that bowling needs to be more like wrestling, but I gotta admit, bro, like you're kind of right. You're kind of right. Like if they put us in charge of bowling and me and you sat down and wrote scripts of what guys were gonna say after particular shots, ratings for bowling they would go through the roof. They'd go through the roof, and you'd see these viral clips every week for bowling.
Mike, it's just like character and it's just personality.
Yeah.
And I wrote
bowlers
that article.
Bowlers have become the antithesis of this.
Yeah, because that's what they need to win. That's what it takes
to
win,
I
right? And that's the
understand.
problem. Pete Weber was a different
But we should have been promoting that the whole time. We should have been promoting, no, this guy wins all the time. Act like him.
You know what the problem is? The problem is that a lot of people. Yeah, well, Pete Weber got a lot of slack for a lot of the antics from a lot of the bowlers who wanted to be, boring and wanted to be professional, and they treat it that way. And Pete got a lot of slack, and Pete had a lot of haters. He did. There was a lot of people that didn't like Pete Weber's antics. That's it. Love us or hate us, you listened, and that's the truth. Like Pete Weber, you love him or you hate him, but you watched when he was on a show, right? And that was the truth. Now it's just like it's boring when you have these guys that are going on there not showing any emotion. They're robots. They're just like in the motions. They strike and all they do is like
moment. They're in the moment is what they would say.
I know. Kyle Troop understands that there's got to be some play around with the crowd. There's got to be some emotions. There's got to be some personality, right? There's a few players that understand that. But look, I could get into this topic for hours because that's really what hits home to me with the PBA is the bowlers need more. Imagine a world we lived in, and I'm going to end the discussion here. Imagine a world we lived in the PBA had 75 Pete Webers bowling against each other.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Think about that, Mike. 75 Pete Webers, all with different personalities and different traits and different characters, but all Pete Weber bowling against each other.
This is a great comment. Lou says, that's why I always wanted to see Rudy.
Always, man.
Rudy Revs Kazamakis become a star on tour because he had every ingredient to transcend bowling into the mainstream. His time was just past him by the time he went out full time. He was like a wrestling character.
He was.
He really was. If you watch one of the first shows he made, I forget, it's in an arena setting. I forget what show it is. Maybe Jimmy can help us out with this. But he comes out, man, he throws a strike and he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, holy shit, like this guy looks like he's here to wrestle a bear. Okay.
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
He'd win. Think about this, right? When we used to bowl a high roller back in the late 90s and 99, 2000, when it was at the old Showboat, the old Castaways, and Lou Gaudio, whenever Joe Stillman, who we interviewed in our first season, right? Whenever Joe Stillman bowled a match at the high roller, we knew the
always
time.
Always going to have a hard crowd, yep.
We knew the time, we knew the date, and it didn't matter what we were doing. We were in Vegas. We were going to watch Joe Stillman bowl's high roller match. Why is that? Because you never knew what this kid was going to do. This kid got banned from the high roller because he ripped his shirt off. He Hulk Hogan his shirt mid-match.
He might take his shoe and throw it down the lane.
Which he done. He did.
Yeah. He might spit on the lane. He used to spit on the lanes a lot.
Mike,
I mean, just his language, like he bowled in a fury of anger. Okay, that's the only
Yes.
way I can describe it. Like
But the
he would be
entertainment,
the language, the phrases he used to say after he would miss or throw a bad shot. I mean, I can't even repeat them here. Honest to God, I can't even
bro,
repeat them here. They were that bad.
Fox Sports, the people that work
They'd
the
be like
shows,
beep 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 beep. I mean,
they'd be passing out like they wouldn't know what to do. All I'm saying is that's what the PBA misses. But the fact of the matter is I see that in the chat from Nico. Yes, the problem is a lot of these players, they can't relax their emotions. They can't keep their emotions on a level. They can't do a Pete Weber come back and then throw a good shot because your adrenaline gets the best of you. It's a really hard thing to calm your body down and calm yourself down if you're going to go all, Hulk Hogan after a strike. But man, I'm telling you, the bowlers these days, and I feel like an old man, talking about my past days. You don't know good entertaining bowling until you watch high roller matches with Joe Stillman, action matches in Brooklyn, right? Um, you know, a snake bowling Richie Hornwright. I mean, you want to talk about some entertaining matches. These guys, the whole match, your mother, this, that, like just talking all kinds of shit, bowling for thousands of dollars, man. Oh, the entertainment factor is real, Mike, and I could talk hours about it, but I know
even
I don't
like
want to.
like even a Timmy Mack in a World Team Challenge setting. Like I've been
Oh,
watching a
I
lot of those
know.
World Team Challenge shows. Like he was
Yes.
another guy who was very hyped, very entertaining. Like if he was going to bring
Oh,
it,
the
you
best.
know what I'm saying?
I
He was going to
know.
bring
I
it.
know.
And yeah, we don't
Whitestone.
really have that anymore. But my point is this though. Look at where this got Pete.
I got him on a Muggsy commercial. Yo,
You
and
know,
the jeans, he's talking about the jeans are flexible. Like he's literally good
I
for
thought
Pete,
the
man.
commercial was a little corny, to be
It
honest. But
was. It was, but good for Pete, man. Pete's getting jean commercials, and the pros today aren't getting no commercials. So what does that tell you? It exactly tells you what you said earlier, right? It says that if you have some character, you have some personality, and you have semantics, you can make a career out of it, Mike.
fair point.
Oh, you want to do it? Worst of the week?
Let's do it.
Oh man, what a great
Mm.
what a great show tonight. Urethane. We talked some Brooklyn action. We talked Joe Stillman. Oh man, we never know what direction we're going on in this show. I think that's why I like doing it so
We
much.
had Pete the Purple Rose Hammer. I
Yo,
mean,
my man Pete is still pissed. I don't know where he went, but I think he might be chasing the dog around the house. He's all angry. Oh man, and if you didn't see the beginning of the show, we interviewed the Purple Hammer, in case anybody missed it. Pete Rose, the Purple Hammer, who's banned for life, stated his beef with the PBA. So you might want to rewind and listen to it, because it was a good interview. Anyway, all right, Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my worst of the week. I noticed this trend on a lot of the Patch Pirate bowling groups on Facebook, and there's been a decent amount of Tim Buck type behavior going on a lot of these Patch Pirate bowling
pages.
pages. Here's a post from Hammer Bowling by Robert Danzy Jr., who I believe is an admin, or maybe I should call him the future Tim Buck Jr. or Tim Buck. Just a reminder, we should not be recommending non-Brunswick balls here. Please respect the brands if you want to be a part of this group. We don't want to remove anyone but Will.
Bringing his best Tim Buck.
Best look. Okay, I just don't understand how you could start a bowling group and kick people out of the group if you're gonna like maybe say, hey, well, maybe you should try a I don't know, a storm ball, right? Like, are people taking that shit that serious? You know what I mean, Mike? Is it that serious of a thing? Like, oh shit, yo, someone's texting Robert Dansby in yo, someone just recommended a pitch black on your group. Oh shit, he's like running to the computer, like, moderate. Oh man, we got to remove this post. Like, is this what, man?
Listen, the Patch Pirates take their Patch Pirateness seriously, bro.
They do, man. You
Brian
don't want to walk the plank.
Brian McDonough with a comment in the chat saying, "I'm bringing a python in my bag to the next tournament." Like, could you see? This is what I'm talking about. Like, could you imagine if a bowler came out and like carried his ball to the lanes in a bag that has a snake in it? He lets the snake crawl out for it. Like, this is the kind of stuff that Rob would write for the PBA scripts. This is what we would have going down. Oh my goodness!
You ever see that commercial where there's like, imagine if there was defense in bowling and the guy was about to throw the ball and the woman tackles the other woman on the lane?
No, but see, you can't see. That's what's great about that suggestion right there, because you can't change the game. You can just add antics to it.
You mean like the old Mike?
Pete Weber was out there. Pete Weber was out there bowling at the highest level that you could possibly bowl at, but he was doing it while creating all these other antics going on, right? And that's what you want. That's what 100%. You want. That's what makes it interesting. Like, so something like showing up with a snake in the bag with the ball, and opening the bag, and the snake comes out first, and then you grab the ball and hold it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that like
Big Ern McCracken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you hold the ball up, and everyone's and the woman comes
see, that's what I'm saying though. It has the potential to become a thing, right? Like the Belmo boom has become a thing. All right, that's cool, right? Like it's a sharp thing that he came up with. But like, could you imagine if there was a player who did that and then held the ball up every time, and all the fans started to go like chant and just get into it? I mean, it would be amazing.
The scene in Kingpin with Big Ern holding the ball up and then the lady running over and then kissing him and then he grabs her ass. I mean, that's just like hilarious, right? It's funny and everyone remembers that about the movie. But I mean, something similar would be hilarious in real life bowling.
Greg Boylan in the chat. Greg, what's up? I don't recognize your name as a regular, but
what up, man?
Thanks for joining us. Pro bowlers are like pro golfers, boring robots. Now, here's the interesting thing to me about that.
I agree with that.
I don't agree with that because there's a lot of viral videos a lot of videos that go viral in golf of golfers like, you mother effer, oh God, banging the club, fighting with each other, commenting on each other's play. See, like, you don't even hear that behind the scenes in the PBA. Like, even if it's going on behind the scenes, they should accentuate that aspect of it. We want to see people losing their minds for whatever reason. Okay.
And a
lot of times in golf, they lose their minds on the course.
They do. But here's what I'm talking about when it comes to bowling. There's one pro at a high level who does a little bit of that, right? And that's Simonson. Right?
Yeah, Grondin too. I thought you were going to say Grondin.
Well, Simonson is perfect example because he's on the show almost every show, right?
Agreed.
And he's on a level, but he gets a lot of shit for it.
I know. But how many people didn't like Pete? How many people didn't like Pete? Right?
Exactly.
And Simonson doesn't care, and that's part of what's great about him. He goes out and wins, and then puts the Cartier shades on, and says, "Watch me stun on him, son."
Yep.
So
exactly.
But that's what I'm looking for. To me, that's entertainment, right? It makes it more interesting. The problem with his stuff is it's always some intricate bowling thing that he's upset about that most people, it goes right over their head and they have no idea why he's upset. He's not screaming at a kid in the crowd because he laughed when he left the 10 pin or something.
What Simo needs to do is Simo needs to really not be afraid to really give heat or get heat from people, right? He needs to be who he is, and he needs to, really, really give what he I think there's a lot more character and personality with Simo that can come out, right? And I really think he needs to own it like Pete did. Pete owned it. Pete didn't give a shit. Simo needs to essentially kind of take that, what do you call it? The torch, right? From Pete.
Well, like, Pete, to me, Pete didn't really reach that level of insanity until he was like already clearly established as one of the best ever. Right. And I'm not sure that Simo's quite at that point yet. He's going to get there eventually. And I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see what happens when that occurs. All right.
One day he wakes up, Mike. He wakes up and Simo's just like, "Yeah, I'm the best.
I don't care
like,
anymore." Yeah.
That's gonna be a scary Simo, bro.
I know. This worst of the week comes from Radical Bowling fans. It's from Ruley V. Hayward Jr. Okay. And he says, bowled USBC Open Championships Thursday and Friday. Spent team and doubles trying to settle down and come up with a game plan.
That's 6 games of the 9.
He spent 6 games of the 9 coming up with a game plan. Cover was 800 with 2,000 on top. Pin just to the right of the fingers. 205 with a missed 10 pin in the 10th frame first game. 221 clean second game. Third game, 2 open frames and no doubles, missing 600 series less than a mark. Not used to bowling on sport patterns. Bigfoot was a great choice. Trying to stay in the moment and get my fingers and thumb to work together was my greatest challenge. You can't play the lanes like a house pattern and score well if you're a 190 plus bowler. Now, let me say 2 things. Number 1, I gave worst of the week, so I thought the post was funny because he said he spent the first 6 games of the 9 just figuring them out. Sounds like something I would do. I would shoot 720 the last 3 and say, all right, I'm ready to re-bowl in the first 6 again.
Re-entry squad.
But here's a bigger point here with that worst of the week, right? So many people go out and bowl USBC Nationals that don't even come in the building when a sport pattern's out in their local area. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Like I give that worst of the week because if you're only bowling on house patterns, okay, and you're not averaging, let's say, 225 plus. I mean, what are you even going out to nationals for?
It's a fun thing, Mike. I don't think you understand. It's for a lot of people. They expect to go there and bowl 150. They're not going there to win Eagles. They're not going there to win brackets. They go out there with 6, 8, 10 teams, and they have drinks. They spend the money because that's their yearly vacation. There's no expectation for them to compete. Of course they want to bowl good.
I don't know, man. There's better ways that I could spend vacation dollars than going to Reno.
I agree, but we grew up in bowling alleys as kids. A lot of these people bowl league once a week, and to them going and bowling, of a different state and going to a different bowling alley and going in a bowling stadium is a whole new experience for them, right? And I used to bowl in a Vegas fun league back when I was a patch pirate, and I used to beat up on Mamma Mia back in the day, right? And every year my teammates were league bowlers, right? They were house bowlers, they were league bowlers. They didn't understand the complexities of the sport. Used to love going to Vegas to bowl the fun league, the end of the year league, because they didn't ever get a chance to bowl at a big, bowling casino and wherever it was, right? And they were able to drink, and they'd get away from their kids and they get away from their wife, and they would get to gamble and bowl. And I think a lot of people, they treat Reno that way, where it's just like, oh, I get to get away and bowl with my friends, bowl somewhere different, and it's a new experience for them and a new adventure.
Okay, fair enough. I just think, to me, it's just like, well, if you're gonna make that an every year thing, and you're gonna go out and bowl a tournament like that every year, doesn't it make at least a little bit of sense to bowl on conditions in your 1 week, once a week league that are at least going to give you some kind of preparation for what you're going to see?
No, because I put it like this, right? End of July, I'm going to a bachelor party. We're going to Montana, okay, to play some of the nicest, hardest golf courses in the country in Montana, okay? Do you know the last time I actually swung a golf club? Keep in mind, I'm about 105 to 110 golfer for 18, right? You think I'm going to actually practice or swing the club before I go to this bachelor party with their serious gambling golfers at these golf courses? No. Okay. I'm going to maybe go to the driving range once or twice. I'm going to go on this golf course. I'm going to lose 15 balls, but I'm going to drink. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy being outside with my friends.
Party. It's a bachelor party.
But a lot of these people treat the National Bowling Tournament like a bachelor party. They go there,
Really?
they get to gamble, they drink,
Okay.
they go out with their friends. It's a yearly fun experience for them. They're not going to try to win Eagles by any means.
Okay. I
That's
don't
just
know.
my
I know.
opinion.
I know a lot of guys that bowl exclusively on house who go out to that tournament and are looking to make it a profitable venture.
Well, they're out of their minds because even the good bowlers aren't being profitable out there right now in Reno. There's nothing to make, dude. The checks for the team event and the singles and doubles, dude. You have to like be in a top 10 or even top 5, I think, to actually make some pretty good money, dude. The brackets are miserable. You're barely gonna make $500 if you bowl like a good set. Rob is going
Robert,
for the drink cart coming up.
there's
Well,
a
see,
drink cart.
there is a drink cart.
Oh my
Here-
goodness.
Rob, here's the thing though. I was different because when I was going there to bowl, I was going there to compete and win money and actually
So, so like, are people getting hammered during this tournament?
I mean, after they're like have a 70 in like the 8th frame, that beer cart comes around pretty quick.
Yo, that's wild. I'll be honest. I never even pictured it like that.
Jeff, there's no drink cart anymore. That's a damn shame. Reno missing out on that. USBC missing that revenue generator. Because I remember when me and my brother, when we were bowling and we were bowling bad, dude, that drink cart couldn't come fast enough, man. There was one year I think I bowled 130 the first game, and I was like, man, where the fuck is that drink? I shot 250
Drink cart!
game.
Drink cart! Tip the guy, tell him, yo, stay right here, bro.
Dude, I'm just
Stay
like
within 4-lane radius of where I'm at.
$50 tip. I'm like, hey, every time you see me, you better have a fucking drink in your hand. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't go this year. I'm not going to Reno. The expenses are way too high to go there. The flights are ridiculous. The prices are ridiculous. So I'll wait till next year when it's in Vegas and it's a drive for me and I could just pop onto a team, I guess.
Wow, $13 for a tall beer. Oh,
fucking baseball prices.
Man,
That's crazy.
man. So the answer then, I guess, is no. People aren't getting hammered because people don't want to spend $130 to get hammered on beer.
I mean, people still get hammered at NFL games, right? I mean,
yeah, but there's a lot of drinking that goes on beforehand.
I know.
Yeah, that's all about the pregame situation.
I know. I miss NFL. When's that come back?
All right. All right, let's wrap it up, Rob.
All right, Mike.
All right, final thoughts, Rob.
Team USA latest to pull out of the IBF World Championships and IBF turmoil is the word Jeff Riggles used on his 11frame.com. I think it was because of lack of entries, Mike, which was very curious.
Yeah, because other countries have already pulled out. So
the IBF is a shit show. If anybody doesn't know what's going on there, it's a huge train wreck. There's a lot of drama going on with the IBF. Jeff Riggles has read a lot of articles about it. So yeah, I mean, I've never been a big Team USA person anyway. I think I've been on the record talking about how, like, if it's not in the Olympics, then I don't even know why we have a Team USA. I'll be honest with you. But that's just my opinion. One day I hopefully can get into the Olympics. I don't see it happening. They put sports in like some crazy ass sports they put in the Olympics. So I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting final thought that it seems the IBF is kind of going in a wrong direction, I guess you can say. So anyway, that's my final thought.
My final thought is Junior Gold is coming up.
Oh, that's your favorite tournament of the year.
Junior Gold's coming up. I saw today there are 40 squads. 40 squads. I think if you have 40 squads for a tournament, you should consider limiting some entries. That's what I'm going to say. Pete, the Purple Rose Hammer.
Pete, the Purple Hammer is going to retirement.
We appreciate the time. Rob, we'll see the people next week. Follow us on social media. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I am at the 215th. Hit us up through email, sweeptherack@gmail.com. We love getting emails from people. Check out our Etsy store. We got T-shirts. We got Sweep the Rack merch, Sweep the Rack gear. If you want a Sweep the Rack T-shirt, check us out. We got them up
bags.
there. Rosin bags up there. Let us know. All right. Rob, have a good week.
You too, man. Take care, guys. Peace.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.